Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for prize fighters, circus freaks, and gangsters. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greta.
And as always, we're here to talk about the soup, sword, style, strife, and, well, in this case, suicide, because we're in 17th century Japan talking about Shogun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are.
And at last, we finally get the rest of the Mariko story.
We do.
What is she wandering around in the snow about? What's going on? When did that happen? What the hell?
She wasn't kidding about how Japanese winter looks like shit, though. That looks like a bad time.
Yeah, she was definitely up in a mountain somewhere. And my thought, like when I saw her like wandering around in the snow with her hair all crazy, I was like, oh, this must have been just like right after her dad was killed and she was still like pretty young. But no, she'd been married for quite a while at this point.
Yeah, I thought it was like a war refugee thing, but no, this is her running away from Buntaro because she... like, just please let me just go into the cold and lay down and die, for God's sake.
And yeah, and Buntaro's like, nah, that's my kid you got there. And beside, me being married to you is a major driving force in my life, I guess?
Somehow. I don't know what this man was hanging on to. It just didn't make any sense, but he was not letting go.
But anyway, so she sort of gets into this like super desperate place, and Father Alvedo is there to give her the key to his cult, and she is in.
Oh yes. Boy, he just slipped right in there, and he was a silver-tongued devil, and he was like, you know who loves you? Jesus. Here you go.
Yep.
Be there on Sunday. And remember to bring your pocketbook if you want.
And because there's like that whole thing, you're here for a greater purpose, I'm here for a greater purpose. And like she completely buys into it, but the way she sees her purpose, Father Alvedo, he is gonna be horrified about how she interpreted that.
Yeah, well, the whole, thinking about how he, because they really roped people into Christianity by selling it as freedom. But then they're like, well, you're free to do whatever you want for right now, but you're definitely going to burn for all eternity in most of the end case scenarios. So, yeah.
Yeah. But getting sort of the whole story about Mariko and sort of seeing what she's up to and what she's doing, I'm like, okay. So it cracked me all the way up when we get to sort of like the start of the show after the cold open. When she gets on the boat and she's like, no. Toranaga, nothing to do with this. We just happen to be traveling with you to Osaka at the same time, Anjin and Yabushige. Nothing to do with Toranaga. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Wink, wink, nod, holding the finger against the nose like they used to do in old school movies.
Oh, my goodness. It's great.
But it's funny as hell because Mariko clearly knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Anjin thinks he might have an idea, but he doesn't have any fucking idea. And Yabushige's just like yelling at everyone and pounding his chest. I mean, I'm that guy because nobody would ever tell me a plan because I can't keep a secret with this shit. And plus I'm like, why don't I just go fight him right now? Like, what are we doing? Like, he's right there. I could go fight him. And they're like, would you shut up? So, yeah, I'm right there with him. Like, everybody's just like, leave him in the dark. He'll just make a mess, so...
Yeah, and in fact, plan for the mess is part of your plans. Like, and that's kind of what they end up doing. They're like, no. He is just going to go in there and start knocking over china bowls and crashing into the floor.
He's Murdoch in their A-team. Yes! He is the wild card.
And, I mean, talk about a man whose costumes, like, let you know who he was gonna be. I mean, that crazy helmet he had, that feather coat, like, you called him kind of, he's like the rock star kind of guy. Like, yeah, he's going to be up there as sparkly as possible. Hey, look at me.
Plus, he is the most musical and expressive grunts any person's ever had. His size and grunts, he could have a whole comedy
rap
show.
album.
Yeah, it's amazing. He has whole conversations where he does nothing but grunt.
Yeah. And I don't have the gravel and the gravity to do it. You can probably pull it off.
But he's always so irritated and like just he has that irritated and grunt of disgust, and it's like, God, he does that so well. Like, he is just so pissed off all the time so well.
Yes.
He's like the Waldorf and Statler's third partner we didn't know we needed.
But yeah, so we do get a little bit of hint that like Anjin is starting to be able to speak and understand some Japanese. And so Yabushige kind of sets him up and it's like, we're going to go see Ishido. I'm doing the thing. Like your plan, my plan, we're all going to go do it. And no, Mariko, you're not coming along. We're going to pull this shit off ourselves.
Yeah, this is man shit.
Yeah. And I love how as they're going into the castle, they really, really emphasize the whole thing. Like every entrance is like these huge ponderous doors and you go through one square where everybody's like staring down at you and you're super duper vulnerable. And then you go through a big another door. Like you are trapped everywhere as you enter this castle.
And those doors were so huge. This set's amazing. You can actually like feel the weight of like the stone blocks. Like they are stone blocks for real, it looks like.
Yeah, there's this great early movie called The Scarlet Empress with Marlene Dietrich. And one of the things about that movie is every door on every set, they're huge just like that. And they always have like at least two people like, pulling open the door and, and it really does give this like weight to a set that you really believe that all of this is ponderous and huge. And that was, I don't know if they like took that or, you know, they just big doors on castles and that's what you always do.
Well, it's amazing you brought that up because I loved the fact that there were people scrubbing in a lot of the scenes. Like there were just people frantically scrubbing in the background. They would just, for a second, you'd catch them and then they'd be off to something else. But like, it's just, you could tell that some samurai was like, that spot was there yesterday, and I told you if it was here today, you die. It's still there, so I'm going into this meeting, and I'll be back out in 15.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I really appreciate all the little pieces of housekeeping they keep putting in there, the scrubbing, the sweeping, the dusting, the trimming, the just a reminder, like, it's not pixies and elves. There's like this army of servants that makes Japan look like this.
Yes, the house elves.
Right.
Oh, and, you know, I love the fact, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but every time they show the Jesuits in this, they look like fucking vampires.
Yeah.
So it's like vampires in Japan. They couldn't be more, it's like 3 vampires and a pirate.
Yeah. Like, I like the
3 vampires and a pirate walk into a bar.
Yeah, it's a really great metaphor because they're not there to make or produce or create anything. They are just there literally to suckle off the riches of the society. You know, when Anjin he gets all shitty about the black ship, he's like, oh, there it is, you know, overpriced Chinese silk and underpriced Japanese silver. It's like, you know, they're working as the middleman and just, you know, sucking the lifeblood out of all of this. That's great.
The leeches.
Yes. And we're heading in to see Ishido, and Anjin is like, just look, stop touching your stuff. Just let us adjust everything. Just stop looking like a baby idiot. Oh, Jesus Christ, you don't even know how to bow. Like, you just see him he's like developing a migraine.
Well, also, they have to teach this guy, and he's like, oh, shit, we forgot to teach this guy how to bow. Like, how did we get this far? This guy's what is he, a Hashimoto or whatever? And, like, we never taught him. Hatamoto. And we never taught him how to bow. Like, we probably ought to jump on this before he meets
and again, this is where I miss visual medium, but you know, he's always bowing with his shoulders. Like he like throws the front of his shoulders forward to do like this very round back, like, you know, animalistic looking bow. And everybody's like, no, you bow from the waist, you dipshit. Come on. And he's like this. And Yabu's like, yeah, fine. Great. Whatever. That'll do it.
Yeah.
Don't wrinkle your clothes.
Yeah, but they didn't mention to him, like, all right, so when you're walking, well, I guess they just expect him to pick up on these social cues. But, like, you notice they're all walking with their hands in the same position that they have to bow from. And, well, at least I noticed that, but that's just because I've started picking up on social cues. When I was 20, I never would have noticed. But
yeah, and like all the women have a way that they always hold their hands. And like, because they, especially when they are wearing like that big long coat over their kusore, their like little sleeve kimonos, and the way that they have to walk around and like swoosh it around when they make the turns and everything. There is a certain way that they hold it. And hand position is a biggie.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not something you would generally look at. I mean, at least not from the West. Hand position isn't you're just looking to see if they have their hand on a weapon. Other than that, you don't care.
Yeah, in fact, there's that great joke from Talladega Nights where Will Ferrell as Ricky Bobby is like, I don't know what to do with my hand.
I say it all the time and hold my hands up in front of my face. I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
I never thought that would be so relevant, but yep, here we are.
The car ran real good.
But we get.
You got to get right up on the mic for that one.
Just don't lick it. That could be a problem. But we get to see Kiyama, the red guy, who's the Christian one, and he's gonna. As they're heading in to talk to Ishido, he like whips out his Portuguese and starts talking directly to Anjin-san. And I mean, they're doing it in English, but my assumption is like Portuguese is the language that they have in common. Yeah. And Anjin just calls him out. He's like, yeah, how Christian are you? And Kiyama's like, blah, blah, blah. Like, all that you need to know is we don't need no more stinking pirates. We already have plenty of those. Yeah, so we get in, and what did you think about just like those insanely gorgeous kimono or kusire that everybody was wearing? Like, Jesus, everybody had on their fancy party clothes for this.
Oh, they really did. And so it was really funny because when Anjin was talking, when he was speaking in Portuguese back to him, he lost all of the social deference that would go with Japanese. Like, it was immediately like he snapped back into Western mode, and he was just like, yeah, bro, you're fucking up. You're paying way too much for your silver. And like, this is like one of the guys who runs Japan, and he's just like, yeah, you guys are fucking up. These people are bending you over, and you're an embarrassment, actually, frankly. And like, he hasn't, it's no holds barred. It's like, bro, that man's going to cut your head off.
Yes. Well, he's gonna get somebody to do it,
right.
But they get in there, and Yabushige is like, okay, I'm gonna do the thing. He's like, super sorry for that whole thing with Lord Toranaga. Sorry about the Josen thing, but I've got Anjin and his guns, and he's a really fun monkey. Like, he does great tricks.
Yeah. He totally does sell him like a monkey.
Yeah. And then Ishido's like,
yeah, well, he was basically like, we have no use for a barbarian.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Why are you even showing this to me?
Yeah.
This is garbage.
Yeah. And of course, Anjin has no idea exactly what happened, but Yabu's like, okay, I'll just go. I'll go back here.
Yeah. Well, he kind of made the point like, well, nobody in this place should own all the guns, so I'm gonna have some of them, and yeah, that went over like a lead balloon. I don't know why he thought it would go over better than it did.
Because Yabushige has just incredible eternal self-confidence.
I guess it's more like he's just so fatalistic at this point, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just saying what he wants to say.
Yeah.
He's like, you gonna cut my head off? Whatever. Go ahead.
But he's always been that way. He's like, well, better write a new will today. He's always been like, well, I'm just going to go out there, give it my all. I might come back, I might not. So here's my most current will. Like, that has been his thing the whole time, for sure. But now, it is time for the Mariko show.
Oh, yes. She is just a beast in this entire episode.
And so I love the fact that we got to see her, fighting with the Naginata a couple of episodes ago. So, she can bring this different kind of intensity, and it shows up. She's walking in, she's doing the, tidy, polite, beautiful, controlled everything as she, comes in to, the audience room. She sits down, she bows, she does the whole thing. And when she's like, congratulations on your engagement, I was like, what? What?
Were they they not engaged?
No, they were. I just, like, I missed that or something. Like, that caught me off guard. I was like, oh my god, Ochiba is, like, engaged to Ishido? The fuck?
I think I just made that assumption because he was spending a lot of time with her.
Right. But for me, that was a jaw dropper right there. I was like, oh man.
That was your TMZ moment where you
yeah, that was the one. Like, because I didn't sort of make the connection that Ochiba was going to, like, concede, because the last time when he was, like, proposing to her, she was rolling her eyes so hard I thought they were gonna fall out.
Yeah, but what else is she gonna do? Because she even said in this episode, like when she was talking to Mariko, she was like, I am not a person except that I protect the son of the guy, the emperor.
Yeah, and she couldn't, pretending that she could do that in a way where she was, like, separate from Ishido. Yeah, that was probably delusional, especially in the way she runs in her world. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, but it really, like, there was a lot of the female kind of mind trick stare down shit that is so, like, your purview and not mine. Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious to see what you picked up on that I missed, because...
Yeah. I mean, so Mariko, when she does congratulate them, Ishido's like, yeah, look what I did. And Ochiba's like, it had to be done, I guess. And then Ochiba, she personally greets Mariko in this, like, very friendly way, which is not what would have happened several episodes ago. And they're looking at each other. It's like, okay, we have to team back up. Otherwise, we're fucked. Japan's fucked. I don't know, but, like, we gotta work together. And to me, that was like, Ishido has no idea what's going on. He does not have a handle on this.
But who would trust her? She's evil as hell. You can tell by that weird little smile. Oh, everything about her voice.
Oh, yeah.
100% of that woman is devoted to evil.
Yeah.
It's not like the Russians who just do everything casually in the furtherance of evil. This woman's specifically doing everything in the furtherance of evil.
I would say it's specifically as revenge for all the shit she's been put through. Like, it's not evil for no reason. She feels like she's owed serious payback. Okay.
I still feel like that's a lot of evil for no reason to a lot of random people.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason. It's just very petty and stupid.
Well, what evil isn't in the end?
I guess that's true. If it was smart and good, then it would be the other side.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so anyway, Ochiba she's like, poor lady Danyon, she just died, and we're going to do the things, and we're going to do a poetry contest, and you're so good at poetry. How about you give us a verse to start that off? And so she does, and it's sort of this, like, very stark idea, while the snow remains, da-da-da-da-da, and then something, a leafless branch. And Ishido is like, well, it's nice, I guess, but it's bleak, and this is a man who's about to miss a corner. Like, you could just see him.
Yeah, well, it's these women are playing four-dimensional chess, and us guys, we're working on checkers. Sometimes we can double jump. It's pretty cool. But we're going to go jump bikes outside instead of playing this stupid-ass game. So we'll see you later.
Yeah. And so he sets it up perfectly. He's like, so we look forward to you completing, helping out with the poem. And Mariko's like, nah, I'm not going to be there. Nor will any of the other Yoshi household members. Yeah, we're taking off to meet Lord T. So congratulations, here's your verse, mount.
Yeah, we decided to just pop on through. And we wanted to see all these hostages, see how they were doing, and then so that's it. We're going to be going.
Yep, and Ishido is like, but you're secretly a hostage. You can't leave.
And that's when she turns into Clint Eastwood and she's like, am I a hostage? Or am I free? Why don't we see what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah. You feeling lucky, punk?
Yeah. Oh, are you feeling lucky, Pug? Yeah. It was 100% that, like, Ishido's like, you have misunderstood. And Mariko's like, I understand perfectly.
Yeah. Everybody else is going, ooh, fight, 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 fight.
Yes.
Fight, fight, fight.
And so Ishido sort of like retreats, like, well, nobody's confined here, but I'm sending you to your room for being rude to me. To the air. For being rude. You were rude, so go to your room.
You're not a prisoner, but you're on house arrest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not as a prisoner, though, as a guest of your own home.
Yeah. Yeah. And she just throws down. She's like, you're right. The matter is closed. I'm taking off because I'm going to be a true vassal to Toranaga and my father's daughter, you jumped up peasant.
They were slinging around a lot of highfalutin. Yeah, they were getting very fidity in their put down.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And then we get one of the best Yabushige scenes. Like, he did this so well when they go back to the rooms and Mariko's just standing there, still. And then Yamushige's like jumping around, running around like a hyperactive chihuahua. What were you thinking? What were you doing?
He started everything with squinting and going, ah!
Like, I think Yabu knows, just like, since he's like further down the ladder, he's always going to be a pawn. But I think this time he realized, like, I really stepped in it. Like, I've made mistakes in the past, but...
In this scene, he was like an angry cat, though. He was really just hissing and grunting and squinting. And then as he walks away, he's like, and your poem was shit.
Yes!
A bare branch? Fuck a bare branch. Nobody fucking raps about a bare branch. Fuck that shit.
I actually laughed. I was like, that was such a beautiful, esoteric, petty insult. Oh,
Your freestyle was trash.
Oh my God, I loved it.
I do love that the Japanese used to freestyle, and that was like a competition that they would have.
Yeah.
That is dope.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, yeah, a lot of people who are like sort of looking down on it as like, you know, sort of freestyling rap, like, that's not art. And the Japanese are like, it is. And in fact,
It
and you
sure
look,
is.
you look at sort of East Asian rappers, and they looked upon freestyling and they're like, wait, we do poetry all the time. We're taking that. We are making our version of it, and it is going to kick ass. And then we end up with the soundtrack for Warrior. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you get Anjin, who's just been standing there like watching all of this colloquial Japanese like go by. He's like, okay, everybody's mad and I don't know what's going on. And he's like, what?
He's literally like a kid watching grown-ups fight, and he has no idea what the fuck they're talking about. He's in that mode where he's like, all right, mom and dad are mad at each other, but I don't know what else is going on.
And yeah, Anjin's like, well, what have you done? And Mariko's just like, I need to rest. And she does like that great dismissive swirl with her.
Yes, it was very, very arch. It was the most arch, like, turn and walk away ever, because she's doing that little feet, like, to walk away, and then she glides away.
Oh yeah, I had to just admire the actress. So she's like, she's speaking the line with emotion. She's doing the spin and the walk and staying in front. Like, I was just like, that looked hard.
Yeah. A lot harder than the, I mean, we really do have like a, it's like if Tom Hardy played Captain Jack Sparrow is basically what we got for Anjin. You know what I mean?
pretty much, yeah. But then we start down like the road of the Mariko heartbreak. Like, now we start to pick up speed in her whole thing, because she has this interview with her son. And I was just, I mean, he's at that age where kids tell their parents that they hate them. Like, this is just something that happens. And some of them tell them to their face, and some of them just tell their friends or their diaries or whatever. But all kids go through that phase where they're like, God, I hate my mom. I hate my dad. Rah! And he tells Mariko to her face, you're embarrassing. and I'm ashamed of you, and I can't stand all this humiliation anymore.
Yeah, and he's trying to convince her to stay in the capital and be a hostage rather than dipping on out. And he's like, if you fail at this and you get humiliated, then I'm never going to talk to you again. You won't be my mom ever.
And Lord Kiyama, red guy is bastard move using this kid as a pawn. Like, go tell, like, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, we're a Christian together. Go tell your mom to be good because you're the man of the house. He totally did that thing that people will do, especially to young men, of like really jumping them up and saying, yeah, nobody respects you, but I see who you are, that kind of thing. And Kiyama totally did that bastard move to him.
We don't need much winding up. A half twist on the wind up, John, and we are off to the races. So he basically just had to pat that kid on the back, and he was like, I got it. I know what I'm doing. Here we go. I got it.
Yep. And so, Mariko is patient and as thoughtful, and like she gets the game kind of. Like, I still think this was like just a kick in the lady nuts for her.
Well, she gets him back.
Getting back at your child, that's not something you ever really want to do as a parent. Or I should say,
this lady's entire brain is consumed by hatred and like misery. She doesn't give a shit about this kid.
Yes, she does.
It's pretty clear she doesn't give. No, she doesn't. She doesn't give a rat's ass about this kid. She's too caught up in like trying to kill herself every 13 seconds. I mean, how often does this woman say she's going to kill herself? About once a minute.
True, but so, you look at their relationship back at the beginning of the series. No, like, if anything, I see this as like one of her regrets. She actually loves her kid.
Then why is she trying to kill herself every 10 seconds?
Oh, well, but that's the whole honor and being a good vassal, and she does want to get back at her husband and her father and the whole system. But
yeah,
no,
she has a lot going on that doesn't have anything to do with her kid. She's like on old grudges and shit. Her kid doesn't matter at all. No, if you're still worried about some 10-year-old grudge shit, you don't give a fuck about your kid.
And see, I think you're wrong. I think this is one thing, because the look on her face as the kid walks away and she's like, fuck. Like this, I
read that look as, well, I should have killed myself yesterday, I guess.
No, because it wouldn't have had the same impact. No. She's taking, because Father Alvedo tells her, you have a greater purpose in life. And she's like, yep, I do. I am going to use my death to further Lord Toranaga, my lord's wishes.
Yes. I'm gonna use my death to further this political vendetta instead of trying to help out my kid and make sure he turns up to be a decent person.
Well, as a woman in feudal Japan, she only ever has so much ability there. But I feel like she was torn up over like, well, this is the end of the relationship with my baby. Like, he is gone from me entirely.
Which also would have happened if she had managed to kill herself any of the thousands of times that she had attempted it and or threatened it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just see like her. She looked very hurt to me about that, and I understood.
Well,
all right.
She could have had a hangnail. Maybe she had a headache.
Anyway, it's time to head out of the castle, man. And because we're in Japan, we're going to try the polite way first. We're just going to pretend like everything's okay. We're going to get in our little lacquer boxes and walk out like we're supposed to be able to.
This was the most polite series of murders that has ever been put to film. Without question. Without question. This was amazing. And it's so funny that Westerns were made out of this, where it was nothing but like just drunken messes of human beings who are living in their own filth, just shouting expletives at each other and getting in drunken gunfights. And that was based on these Japanese people saying, "Excuse me, sir, but I'm afraid I am unable to allow you to pass." And the other Japanese person bowing and saying, "Well, excuse me, sir, but I must insist that I must leave." And
they're like, "Papers, please." And so the Japanese are like, I'm afraid you're mistaken. We do not require any papers to show, but it totally got retranslated into the Western. We don't need no stinking papers.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally different vibe. And then she walks up all prim and proper after all she looks at her samurais and goes, kill him, please. And
Yes.
and
Yes.
the samurai wipe out the first couple guys and then finally get killed. And then she steps up, and that's when I paused it. I went and got a soda. I was like, she's about to kill every one of these people in some crazy ass ninja way, because somebody handed her a halberd, and I was like, oh, it's about to go down.
Yes.
Did you think she was going to wipe them all out?
No, because I was just like, no, because this is a
'cause you
trap.
read the book.
This is a trap. Ishido can't let her out, but he also can't kill her.
Yes, they made that point. So she'll become a martyr to the nobles if they kill her, but they can't let her out, because if they
Right.
let her out, then all the nobles will leave too.
Right. And so I was like, okay, how is this stalemate going to be resolved? And and I did love that, she picked up the weapon and went but just the way they kept framing her as this very still figure with murder and mayhem happening around her, that was just so beautifully done.
It's the Eastern style of corralling a person and disarming them is so different than the Western version. It's wild. But so you see them in this, the way, because they're given the order, these samurai or these warrior people who have spears, that they're not to allow her to leave, but they're also not to hurt her. So they have to basically keep her surrounded by a forest of spear points that she can't move really, but until she finally is like, well, I can't, and she keeps attacking them and she can't defeat them, and so she's finally like, well, shit. She puts it down. And now in Japan and in China, when there's a person they need to subdue, even when they have like a deadly weapon and they're swinging a sword around, they just mob them with police. And they can't swing a sword at everybody at once, so they just mob them and just surround them, and then they pull the weapon away from them. It doesn't require any killing. It doesn't require, nobody really gets hurt. It's just like a kind of, they're overwhelmed by a flood of bodies, and that's the end. It works.
And I was going to say, it's a really different approach of people are involved, whereas in the West we just want fewer people and more mechanization of all of this stuff.
Yeah, which only seems to amplify the amount of aggression that's going on, whereas a person who's being surrounded by a group of people realizes by the weight of them pretty quickly, this is pointless, I'm not going to fight.
Right.
And also, those people are not scared and aggressive, they're just like, all right, we're giving this person a big hug, like, hey, calm down, buddy. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing about humans, is you can either pull up the aggression, or you can tamp it down. But if there's this huge remove, you're shouting across the void, and that's always going to sort of accelerate and augment the aggression.
Yeah. In the U.S., we really forgot we have a brake pedal too. There's a gas and a brake.
Yeah, so Mariko, she's like, okay, this isn't gonna go, and I thought it was really cool that she kind of forces Ono and Kiyama to separate themselves from Ishido, and she's like, okay, you guys tell them to let me go, and they're like, we can't do that. That's Ishido. They're not our guys to command. These are Ishido's.
Yeah.
She forces them to create the separation, and so Ishido's on his own.
Yeah, she was very clever, and she was fully prepared to martyr herself, but they wouldn't even give her the opportunity to do that, because they wouldn't stab her. They would just, and she even got one of the guys. She got at least one of them with her halberd, and and so, but they just took that L because they weren't going to harm that lady. So I really enjoyed that method of subduing a person. I find it to be unique. Well, at least it's unique to us and our way of thinking.
Oh, definitely. I mean, but it takes a lot more training, and it requires more personnel, and things we're not doing right now.
And it requires people to remain calm, which is something that Americans cannot do at all.
No.
We are incapable. We just scream and run around.
That looks so boring on the Instagrams. I need something louder and faster and brighter.
Exactly. Well, now we scream and walk around. We're not a running bunch anymore.
And that's very true. But yeah, so Mariko calls their bluff and she's like, right, if I can't get you guys to kill me, I will kill me in the most embarrassing way possible for you.
Yes, yes. So, oh, well, you're not going to allow me to go see my lord? Well, then I have failed him, and I must die. So, yes, now I will kill myself at sunset, she says. And then she looks at Kiyama, and she's like, Kiyama, yeah, you sent my son to come fuck with me? Well, here's some head games for you. You can be my second.
Yes, yes. That was delicious. So then, you've got the Council of the Five. You've got Toranaga's half-brother. You've got the skinny actor guy. And then you have Ono and Kiyama from the beginning and Ishido. And they're like, fuck, what do we do? What do we do? And they're like, hey, Lady Ochiba, you're smart and stuff. And she's like, just a woman. Why would I be able to tell you anything? Like, she is kind of enjoying this.
Yeah, plus you're fucked, because it seems like either way you work it, you're going to lose. So that's rough. Sucks to be you. Strolls out of the room.
I could have told you this. I'm sure she did tell everybody this. And they're like,
yeah.
Broads.
Who let that lady talk?
Right. But when Mariko and Ochiba get together and chat, I was just like, that to me was such a heartbreaking scene. Like, where...
Well, first let's set it up. So Mariko and Ochiba, so Anjin doesn't know why the hell he's going to go see the emperor child.
Yeah.
But he's been summoned to go meet the child, and who didn't want to meet him initially. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so they're going to go meet her, and then or meet him, and then Mariko tells him when they get there that no, it's just let the ladies talk. And I, right when she said that, I was like, oh, and the two guards walked away, and I was like, oh shit, the guards walked away because who gives a fuck about two women, a kid, and a barbarian talking?
Right.
They can't be talking about anything interesting, so let's fucking go. We can go shoot craps or whatever.
Yeah. And there was one little, like, moment there where Anjin actually, like, treats the heir just like a kid, like, talks to him like you would just talk to a kid. And I was like, that was very interesting. He thought he was doing a good thing. I wonder what the kid thought.
I imagine the kid was like, I can't believe that this man has just spoken in Japanese to me. It was probably, or were they speaking in Portuguese at that point?
I don't remember, but it was just like he sort of like winked at him and whatever. And I was wondering if the kid was just nonplussed. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because everybody doesn't treat him as a kid. They treat him as the heir.
Yes. The golden child.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Ochiba and Mariko are getting to talk, and you can kind of see that, like, them being forced to split from each other was like this large tragedy in their lives, because they had nobody else but each other to be friends with, and once they were split apart, they each had no one.
I would just like to just back up for a second. And
Sure.
Speaking as a person who has never lived in had anything to do with royalty, the idea of a child being in charge is so insane to me that my brain balks at it. That's why I can't even remember he's the heir, because I'm like, who gives a shit? Can you imagine, like I hate these little neighborhood kids. Imagine if somebody was like, oh yeah, that little shithead down there is going to be in charge in 20 years. No, he's fucking not. I'm going to bury that kid in a ditch before he gets to 20. Like, can you imagine that? That would be a nightmare to live through.
It was repeatedly a nightmare all over the world for a very long time. I mean, because you had different societies where you had, a monarch, an absolute ruler of some sort, but some of them they were chosen like sort of by electors, or you had like trial by combat. You had a lot of different ways of passing it on, where you passed it on to somebody who was like ready to go in one way. Or, you had the hereditary passing on of rulerships. And, I mean, if the 19th century in Europe proves anything, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, how about trial by combat? He who has the most head injuries shall be king. What the fuck are we talking about? That's ludicrous. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah. I mean, but you do look at these other situations where, you know, you pass from one capable person to like somebody who has been trained and is like ready to go. And that's when you have like these longer dynasties that actually manage to go on for a while.
I mean, I get it. It's just so goddamn dumb. And also to have to look at that kid every day and just be like, I hate this fucking kid. And that kid's going to be king every day of your life. Because you know they hate that kid. There's a kid bossing them around. Like, I mean, we had movies in the 90s like Problem Child. Like, imagine if Problem Child became king. He wouldn't survive to adulthood. People would have been backhanding him through walls his entire childhood. But that's what was happening.
Well, I mean, that's how the entire, like, Spanish global empire disintegrated and collapsed, is you had, like, these idiot children who had, like, severe mental handicaps who were, like,
inbred mutants.
Yes, and they were made king, and everybody's like, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? He's next in line. There's nothing we can do.
His chin is bigger than his brain. Get him the fuck off that seat. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And pinheads with Jay Leno chins running shit.
Oh, just ouch. Just ouch. But yeah, I mean, but yes, you do get this sort of tragic story between Mariko and Ochiba, and I was just like, and you know, Ochiba is like, my only purpose is protecting my son. And she basically says, I've already given up my entire whole self to that project. You know, how is piercing your heart going to protect your son, Mariko? Yeah, is that going to make your son's life better?
Were you clear that they were the daughters of rival samurai lords before this? You were? Okay, like, I wasn't. Like I knew that they were like on different sides of a civil war, but I didn't know that they were like rivals. So that would be a tough childhood friendship.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they were just two girls like in the women's quarters in this castle. Yeah. I kind of knew like their fathers were at odds and yet they were buds, and like so that's why like at some point they never got to ever see each other again, and were kind of told to hate each other too. Yeah,
it would be like, I guess, like two girls becoming best friends at boarding school, like from childhood through middle school, and then all of a sudden one of them's like, nope, your dad's a piece of shit, and the other one's getting sent off to like to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like I was saying, Mariko and Buntaro was like inside out Romeo and Juliet, because like they had this terrible relationship and they had both followed the rules as hard as they possibly could, whereas Ochiba and Mariko like were really good together and they really, you know, had a great relationship, and then their families, you know, tore them apart. And, you know, anyway, for me, they are the other tragedy, along with Buntaro, just like following the rules as hard as he possibly can, and everything continues to suck for him.
He's like the mall security cop gone to like the ultimate 10th power.
You know, and then Mariko.
Yeah, so Mariko has that great line where she says, because Ochiba says to her, like, you're just wasting your life right now. If you die, you're not protecting your son. Like, I'm staying alive to protect my son. You're just going to fucking let your son die because you don't give a shit. And she said, a flower is only a flower because it falls. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting line.
Yes. And she's basically saying, no, choosing death is not surrender here. Choosing death is my choice, and it has as much power as a lot of other actions. And then Mariko's like, we should go now. And Anjin's like, oh, are we going now? Oh, okay. All right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, she does have a torture device, a torture and execution device hanging around her neck, Mariko. So, it would seem like we are a death-worshipping bunch of people. and they do enjoy a martyrdom every now and again.
Ooh, yeah. Whereas Anjin, not getting it. He's just rambling. He's like, and then we could do this thing, we could do this thing. Will you consider living for me, Mariko?
Oh, that was totally like a Harlequin romance novel line. I would have tried that line. Like, all right, so logic doesn't work on you, and telling you the plan doesn't work. There's nothing that seems to be working. So how about, I love you. Would you just do it so we can keep fucking? And she's like, nope.
She's like, honey, you do not understand how many layers are going on here.
But I love you. And she just does her little away in her little geisha walk.
I must rest now. Once again, just
I gotta go wash my hair.
Pretty much. Yep. And then Yabushige, we get a little moment with him, and he's like, okay, I'm not gonna die now, but okay, there's another condition. It was just like that very Darth Vader thing. Pray do not change the conditions further.
All right, we need to talk about the guy, the job, the dream job that I never knew that I needed to have. But now I have an answer to the question,
tell me,
who in history would you want to be? I want to be the guy who starts screaming and pounding on drums when sunset comes. That's my job.
You're going to be a taiko drummer. Okay.
I want that fucking job. I'm moving to Japan, and that's what I'm going to go do. That's a job. Oh my God. I didn't even know I wanted to be Japanese. I've always wanted to be Japanese. That's my job.
No, it's actually like hooked in with some martial arts discipline now. I mean, so they're the people who like perform the taiko drumming now, and they like run
Blast. I have been. I love Blast. It's so much fun.
But I mean, the workouts that these people go through to train to be able to do that properly, it's like, it's serious.
Well, if you didn't know, I quite enjoy working out.
Do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, fun fact about me.
Surprise.
Ooh, maybe I should go take a taiko class.
I bet you could find somebody somewhere not too far from you who does that stuff.
I bet it would be the fastest way to find myself divorced that I could. Oh my God, one more noisy hobby. That'd just drive my poor wife to her grave.
Either that or you roll up in like a ramshackle Corvette and say, I'm going to fix this car.
Actually, she would vastly prefer that to me banging on drums in the basement and screaming. Fair
enough. But yes, then we get Mariko going to Father Alvedo, and she's asking for, a blessing and absolution and all this stuff. And he's like, well, we're not in a church. And she basically says, look, is God everywhere or isn't he? Can we do this or not? And Father Alvedo's like, yeah, I guess I did tell you God's everywhere.
I still am going back to, why don't we have this in the United States? Like, how the fuck did we end up with grandfather clocks? I don't want a ding, 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 ding that's going to wake me up in the middle of the night. I want a screaming shirtless man to pound in the sunset. It's a much better way to do things.
Have I mentioned that Americans are mad for the mechanization of everything instead of hiring a person to do stuff?
You have indeed. So I guess this is it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tragedy for sure, but I don't know what to do about our madness.
And Craigslist is dead, so I can't even do searching for Hatamoto.
Right?
So that I can be a taiko for him.
I mean, we are so into mechanization, we can't even be bothered to drive our own cars anymore.
Well, you could let Elon Musk's robots kill you, or you could drive it yourself.
No.
Hey, but they're illegal in China now, so if you were worried that the Chinese were going to come to get us, nope, because Elon Musk's cars are going to kill them all.
Or are they just doing that so they can steal the technology?
Also, the Cybertruck is indestructible and made so people are easily run over by its pointy front. And it's silent.
Oh my God.
So it's just going to be this silent robotic murder machine that is just crushing people in its wake.
But it does pop apart easily, apparently.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, like like when it crashes, like it comes apart kind of.
Good Lord. That one lady drowned because she accidentally backed into a lake and just sunk, and she couldn't get the doors open because the second, no, it wasn't even that. The second the electric shorted out, she couldn't open the door at all.
Yeah.
So she was barely in water.
And she couldn't open the windows
and she couldn't break
either.
the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just
that's
no winning. There was no winning. It wasn't even like she drove in and couldn't open the door because of the water pressure.
Oh,
she was like barely in the water and drowned. That would be like this boiling in hot oil death, where like the slowest drowning a person could have.
I mean, the fact that you can't open the doors manually in those cars is terrifying to me. Like, I need a mechanical lever to get out of my damn car. God damn it.
I don't want to have any involvement with anything involving Elon Musk. If it involves a crazy, screaming, violently Asperger's man, let's not do it.
Okay, well, enough of that bizarre ceremony, and let's talk.
Well, unless he starts funding taiko drummers, in which case I'm going on his payroll.
Yeah, but there you go. But that's way.
Well, he wouldn't pay.
That's way too cool and practical and mechanical. He's not going to do anything like that.
No, he would make robots to do taiko drumming.
There you go. Which anyway,
which would then not work and just murder people instead.
But yes, so we get to see sort of the separation of the male world and the female world, and see how female seppuku looks different than male seppuku.
Yeah, there are a lot of differences. A lot of differences.
Part of it is like this is a very like planned one rather than in the moment. But yeah, the weapon they use, the dressing up that they do for it, I mean, all of that.
Well, the tanto's still the same. They're still using a tanto to cut open their guts.
No. She has that little dagger.
It wasn't a tanto?
No. That's that dagger that they keep in their obi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like that Fuji had it at the very beginning where she threatens to cut her throat. She just like whips that out of her dress. Yeah, no, that's a little dagger. And then
their little on-call suicide knife.
Right, and she's going to puncture her heart rather than cutting open her guts.
Oh, that's a way better way to die. Holy shit. Jesus Christ.
And so I was listening to sort of the extras, and they were talking about a lot of women, if like they didn't have the strength or like couldn't bring themselves to do it, they would actually fall forward on the knife.
Again, it's a way better way to go than having a. Well, I mean, still, they weren't cutting their guts out like we often think of and they show in the movies. It was really soon as the knife goes in, whop, the head comes off. And yeah, that was supposed to be the way it was for women too. So when she said, "Wait until I fall," what the hell was she talking about? Wait until my body's on the ground and then try to hack my head off? That doesn't make any sense.
Look, we all have to have our drama queen moment, and that was a great drama queen moment.
But it was great that so she asked Kiyama to second her, and he didn't show up. So there's all these ladies there who are going to witness this suicide, and no men except for Anjin. And so he's like, well, fuck it. I barely know how to use this sword, but I'll do it because somebody's got to cut your head off. And her son didn't say shit, so there we go. Yeah, because her son is a dick.
And so, it all gets set up. And I thought that was so interesting. Also, like, before she actually did the deed, they closed the screen. So it's...
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, it really was. So you don't see the person commit suicide. They do it behind a screen, which... like, it's shadow theater style, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we get the literal last... minute dramatic rescue.
Yes. Ishido he comes in and he's just like, this is disgusting. You're a disgusting woman. I can't believe you're being such a fucking drama queen about this. You need a pass? Here's your fucking pass. Fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
You're gonna get blood all over my floor. This is ridiculous. And then all the other ladies are like, well, hey, can I get a pass too? And he's like, of course you can get passes, all you stupid bitches. And this bitch is gonna bleed all over my floor. Oh my God, you bitches are fucking killing me. And he just goes out the door, just these goddamn bitches. But he knew it was going to happen. So
Yes. Yes.
He's so
It's like,
mad.
what did you
And
do?
he's just...
What did you think you were hostages? I never said you were a hostage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he is backed into this corner and he's like, you know what? I gotta step out and reset. Like this is gonna be a fucking disaster, but okay.
He is the older brother who has been caught holding his little sister's hands and just smacking the shit out of her face with him, and just until finally the parents like, what is she screaming about? And looks and is like, oh, all right. So you're gonna be grounded for the rest of your life. And he's like, God damn it! And it's all your fault, yelling at his sister. And this is him, like just yelling at these women, like, you goddamn got me in trouble, you bitches.
Yes, and then he's like, but I have something up my sleeve. Remember that thing where I was talking to Yabushige earlier? I've got a thing. I totally have a thing. I have a thing. And so he gets Yabushige to let in the shinobi. Like, okay, if I'm gonna have to let Mariko out, I'm gonna capture her. It's a clever plan. It's gonna totally work. All 900 steps are gonna go perfectly.
So I didn't get, so my next note after the noblewomen were asking for permits was Mariko and Anjin round 2, boinkity boink. They're just slapping cheeks.
Yes.
Slapping cheeks.
Because at that point, yeah, she's like, you know what? I've defeated Ishido. My kid hates, like, just this list of terrible stuff. And I almost died. Like, none of it matters. So what they find out that I'm banging the Anjin. Who cares anymore?
Yep.
I don't care.
Cue the meatloaf. They had meatloaf playing. There were candles everywhere. It was all a fire hazard, the whole scene. They got it on. So it was...
And nobody cares anymore. It's like, I almost died. I almost killed you. Yeah, like, fuck it.
And then Yabushige lets in the shinobi. So he's letting him in, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, so here's Crimson Sky. Then the shinobi are coming in to kill everybody. But then the shinobi are just killing everybody, and I'm like, and they're trying to kill Anjin and Mariko, who are banging, and then Anjin just starts stabbing everybody and blasting faces off.
Oh, okay. See, I saw it differently, that, like, they had a target, and... that they didn't care about anybody else, that they just had like the target of Mariko and maybe some of the other royal hostages, but all of these like retainers and maids and soldiers and whatever, like they were just chaff, and they were just like, kill you out of the way, get you out of the way. Like everybody else was just extra.
I thought it was a kind of false flag, John, where they were letting the shinobi in, making it look like they were trying to kill Mariko and Anjin, but they were making a half-assed effort, and the rest of it was just it was to pin it all on Toranaga in some way, or not Toranaga, I mean Ishido in some way. Like they're trying to make it look like Ishido broke the promise and was trying to kill the Anjin and stuff like that, but when in reality he didn't.
Oh, see,
because he's not that fucking smart.
Oh, see, what I thought was Ishido told Yabu, like, hey, I'm not going to kill you for being a dumb fuck and the whole Jozen thingy. I just need you to let in these shinobi who are gonna kidnap Mariko, because he's basically like, so you're just gonna kidnap my girl, right? And they're like, yeah, shut up, no.
Ah, interesting. Well, I guess we shall see.
We shall see. And so, yeah, as the shinobi are coming in, they're like, knock, knock, knock. Hey guys, we gotta get you out of bed. Like, shit's going down.
Well, so Yabushige he killed one of the guards who was Ishido's guard. So why would he kill Ishido's guard if he was working for Ishido?
Because I thought he didn't want anybody to know that he let them in. Like, he's always trying to like have a little plausible deniability, like, I don't know how they got in, they must have killed the guard. Whereas like otherwise the guard could have told on, like, before everything went tits up.
But they're fucking ninjas. The guard wouldn't even know they were there.
But is he our smartest guy here?
I don't know. These were kind of shitty ninjas, though. And also, there were a lot of fucking ninjas. Like, why are there so many? It's a whole goddamn army of ninjas. Like, what are all these people doing as hostages if they're just an army of ninjas you could have wipe these people out?
Well, to be fair, this is a scene that happened in the book, and so I think they were trying to figure out how to, because in the book, it's like an army of ninjas comes in and does this explodey, and so I think somehow they were like, I think we kind of have to preserve this climactic scene from the book somehow.
Ah, okay. Well, hey, there you go. They came out of nowhere.
Yeah. But no, I just assume Yabushige thought like maybe somehow he could still get away with this, so he had to kill the guard so the guard couldn't say, "Hey, Yabu, let him in." Yeah, so they're like going through the secret rooms, they're going to the storerooms, they're running away from everything, and they get into basically what seemed like kind of a strong room. And the shinobi are like, "We're going to blow the door," and once again, Anjin's like, okay, we can do the thing, we can stop it from happening. And Mariko, she's just done. She's like, this is it, man.
She does that thing where one of the guys in every action movie is like, that's it, I'm done running. And he just turns around and drops his armor and he's like, I'm staying to fight. And she did that one.
Yes.
Stood in front of the door and she's like, I'm ready to die.
Yep, she does. And she's like, this is a better death, a more public way of doing this and going out than I ever could have hoped for. Ishido is so fucked.
Yeah, plus, I mean, those guys will hopefully be pulling fewer splinters out of their faces for the rest of their lives because her body absorbed a bunch of them.
Yeah. Woo! That was serious.
She got exploded.
And I'm sure she's seen enough war and people dying badly. She's like, if I'm going to get exploded, I want to get exploded completely and just have it over with. No lingering.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You just blink your eyes and you're connected to God's Wi-Fi the next moment. It's, you're just all of a sudden there. It seems like a much better way to go than the alternative of being one of those people with like both your legs blown off, screaming on a battlefield sort of thing.
Yep. Nope. She's smarter than that. And Yabushige gets just enough time to go, oh, yep, I'm going to die about this. Yep.
There's no way I live through this now. Shit.
Yeah. I have screwed up to Toranaga and I have screwed up to Ishido. So no matter who wins, it is going to be death for me. Yep.
Yeah,
That's the end of all Yabu.
So I was hoping for a Yabu spinoff because I love this man's grunts and like I could just watch him do it all day long, but it doesn't look like he's getting a spin unless it's a prequel because there's no survive. He's not going to survive episode 10. There's no chance.
No.
It's a 0 chance.
Yeah. But that was such a great episode. So much happened. And bye, Mariko. But boy, did you go out big.
She did. I'm curious to see who his next amorous intention is going to be.
But don't you think with like the way he works in this world, he is going to go through like a long period of like, Mariko is my one and only and I can never love another, which is bullshit and he'll get over it at some point. But he's going to go through...
Oh, he'll have a solid 2 weeks of being very invested in mourning her. And then, he will be led astray by some other... I mean, you can only grieve so long.
Fair enough. Very true. But no, I'd give him a little longer and yeah, but he is
there will be some weeping and wailing and rending of clothes and he will tear his shirt asunder and
a lot of surly
fall
drinking.
To his knees. I don't know if he's going to do the surly drinking thing. I see more of a Willem Dafoe style.
Okay.
Just raving lunatic grief.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he definitely has that going for him. He's going to throw himself around for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to be as histrionic as he can possibly be. All right, well, I think that does that for this episode. I think we almost got it to 1 hour. Look at that.
Woo! Well, once I edit it, it might even fall on. Who knows?
This will be our first 1 hour episode.
Okay. Whee! Well, in the meantime, if you're waiting for the final episode of the Shogun, where can we find you on the internet?
I am on the Instagrams every single day at Plague of Strength, where I post about cool stuff that is historical and usually lifting or martial arts related. How about yourself?
You can find me on my other podcast that's about old American food called The History of American Food, and I am about to do something on my podcast I have never ever done.
So you just sample spoiled food, right? Like, so it's just out of date, or? I'm literal man.
I talk about, how, look at the history of American food to figure out how we got to where we are. But the thing I'm about to do is I am going to interview someone who wrote a positively fascinating book about the history of refrigeration called Frosted. Like, I never do interviews, but I was so excited about this book. And so she's going to be on my podcast. And let me interview her. So that is super exciting.
I love that I learned from you the fact that we had to keep our freezers in our garages. For anybody who has who's been to their grandparents' house or something and they have the refrigerator in their garage, the reason for that is people used to keep freezers in their garage because the freezer could kill you if you left it in the house.
Whoopsies. What's a little ammonia poisoning between family members?
Yeah, but stuff like that is wild, and you never ever think about it. But when I was watching the History Channel episode on Swanson in the history of frozen foods, that's where I started to realize that the history of refrigeration is really important to the history of our culture.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the American food supply right now, if like all of the refrigerators and freezers in the world broke, we would be fucked.
Yep. That would not be a good time. It would be a bad time. We'd be back to canned foods. Eesh. Canned green beans are not a good time.
Well, they can be.
There she goes. There she goes with the puns.
No, we have to, there are ways to preserve foods in non-refrigerated ways, including vegetables, where they do actually taste good. It's just, we sort of learned how to do canning, and we're like, it's good enough. Don't need to improve upon it. It's good. Fine. We're done.
We did spend thousands of years just dropping meat into lake water and using the lake water to preserve it, though. And lake water is disgusting, and lakes smell terrible, so I can only imagine that food was vile.
Well, there were other things. There were pits with ice. Anyway, you'll have to come listen. There's a million different things. No, the history of refrigeration and how we've used it, how we're using it now, and what we're going to have to do in the future. It's a mystery hole we need to go down, and I'm excited to do it.
I love delving into a good mystery hole. A little historical spelunking.
All right. Well, we will see everybody next week for the last episode of Shogun.
Yes, and then we're on to Parts Unknown. We haven't decided yet.
We'll have a palate cleanser in there, I promise.
All right.
All right.
Until next week. Bye, guys.
Right. Bye. We're on Instagram at PCG Podcast, and you can always reach out to us by email at pcgpodcasters@gmail.com. And you can find more dope beats like this one from royalraven.com.